My girlfriend cheated, so I secretly started dating her sister. I never thought that my life could change so suddenly. I was happy, or so I believed, until I discovered the painful truth. My girlfriend, Lisa, had cheated on me. It all started with small hints, a late-night text message that she tried to hide, secretive phone calls when I was around, and a sudden change in her behavior. I was heartbroken and confused, unable to understand how someone I trusted could betray me so deeply. I remember the day I found out as if it were yesterday. I was cleaning the living room when I accidentally saw a message on her phone. It wasn't just any message, it was from someone who made it clear that Lisa was involved with him. My heart sank as I read the words, each one feeling like a knife twisting in my chest. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. The person I loved had shattered the trust we had built over the years. In the days that followed, I tried to confront Lisa, but her answers were vague and full of excuses. She said it was a mistake, that it meant nothing, and that she loved me. But how could I believe her when my heart screamed otherwise? I felt lost, alone, and hurt beyond words. The pain of betrayal weighed heavily on me, and I found myself questioning everything about our relationship. I started to isolate myself, thinking about the betrayal over and over in my mind. I spent countless nights scrolling through social media and reading posts about similar heartbreaks. I discovered that I was not alone. Many others had been hurt by infidelity, and their stories of revenge and healing began to light a small spark within me. I decided I had to do something, not just for my pride, but to take back control of my life. At first, I thought about confronting Lisa publicly, but that idea soon faded. I did not want to drag our private pain into the public eye or create a scandal that would hurt both of us even more. Instead, I turned my focus to finding a way to heal. I spent hours researching stories of heartbreak and revenge, and that is when I stumbled upon an unexpected suggestion. Sometimes the best way to recover from betrayal is to find strength in unexpected places. It was a dark thought, but one that slowly grew into a plan. In the midst of my despair, I recalled another person I had known for a long time, Sarah, Lisa's younger sister. Sarah had always been kind to me, offering a friendly smile and supportive words whenever I needed them. She was completely different from Lisa. Where Lisa was unpredictable and secretive, Sarah was warm and trustworthy. I had never seen Sarah in a romantic light before, but now, as I tried to mend my shattered heart, I began to notice qualities in her that I had never appreciated. The idea formed slowly. What if I could start dating Sarah in secret? It was not about hurting Lisa further, at least that wasn't my declared goal, but about finding a way to reclaim my happiness. I was determined to transform the pain of betrayal into a new beginning. I began to plan discreet ways to spend time with Sarah without raising any suspicion. I texted her under the guise of wanting to catch up as friends, and soon we arranged to meet at a local cafe. During that first meeting, I found myself both nervous and excited. Sarah listened patiently as I talked about my heartbreak and the difficult times I had faced. She shared her own experiences and offered a compassionate ear. There was something genuine about her that made me feel safe, and slowly, a friendship began to form. Every laugh we shared and every secret conversation felt like a small victory against the hurt that Lisa had caused me. I knew that this was a risky move. Dating the sister of the person who had hurt me was bound to stir up emotions and complications. Yet, I felt that it was a necessary step in my journey to heal. Little did I know that this secret relationship would soon turn my life upside down in ways I never imagined. The stage was set for a dramatic twist of fate, a twist that would shock everyone involved. After our initial meeting at the cafe, my heart raced with a mix of excitement and guilt. I knew that dating Sarah, Lisa's kind and compassionate sister, was a dangerous game. However, the pain of betrayal was still fresh, and I was desperate for a fresh start. I convinced myself that this secret relationship was not just about getting even, it was about healing and rediscovering happiness. The idea of transforming heartbreak into something new became my driving force. I began planning discreet encounters with Sarah. We would meet at quiet parks, attend small local events, and have long conversations over coffee in hidden corners of the city. Every moment we shared was filled with a bittersweet intensity. Sarah's gentle humor and genuine care for me helped ease the pain of my past, yet I could not shake the feeling that every smile and touch was part of a secret that could blow up at any moment. While I was careful to hide our meetings, it wasn't long before small clues started appearing. A mutual friend mentioned seeing us together, and I noticed that Sarah's eyes sometimes betrayed worry when she thought I wasn't looking. Even so, our connection grew stronger. In our secret rendezvous, we talked about everything: our lives, our dreams, and even our hidden scars. I found that the more time I spent with her, the more I realized how different she was from Lisa. Whereas Lisa had been unpredictable and distant, Sarah was open, caring, and sincere. A stark contrast that made my decision feel both daring and justified. The complexity of our situation wasn't lost on me. Deep down, I questioned if starting this secret relationship was the right way to deal with my heartbreak. Was I merely trying to punish Lisa for cheating, or was I truly moving on? The answer was hard to find. Every time I looked into Sarah's eyes, I wondered if I was doing this for revenge or if it was an honest bid for a new beginning. The lines between justification and retaliation blurred, but in the midst of my internal conflict, I chose to believe that every step forward was a step toward reclaiming my happiness. Despite our best efforts to keep our relationship hidden, the truth has a way of surfacing. One quiet evening, while I was out with Sarah at a local bookstore, I received a text from an unknown number. The message was short but direct. "I know what you're doing." My heart pounded as I realized that someone was aware of our secret meetings. I felt the weight of my decisions crushing down on me. Was it possible that Lisa had discovered our secret? The thought was both terrifying and oddly validating. After all, it confirmed that I was making waves in her life, waves that would eventually force a reckoning. I decided not to confront the sender immediately. Instead, I kept a close eye on my surroundings, more cautious than ever before. Every time my phone buzzed or someone looked in my direction with a knowing smile, I felt exposed. I began to wonder if this secret was worth all the risk. But every time I saw Sarah's gentle smile or heard her laugh, I pushed the doubts aside. I needed to believe that this relationship could be a source of healing rather than an endless cycle of revenge. As the days turned into weeks, the tension began to mount. Sarah and I found it increasingly difficult to meet without someone noticing. Every encounter was charged with the possibility of being discovered, and the stress of keeping our secret added a layer of uncertainty to our budding romance. Yet, despite the pressure, our bond continued to deepen. We shared intimate details of our pasts, our hopes for the future, and even our insecurities. In that fragile space between danger and desire, I started to see a glimmer of hope, a possibility that maybe, just maybe, I could finally move past the pain of Lisa's betrayal. At the same time, I was well aware that playing this dangerous game came with a steep price. The risk of hurting more people, including Sarah, kept me awake at night. Every decision I made felt like a step deeper into a maze of ethical dilemmas and emotional turmoil. But with each secret meeting and every stolen moment, I was slowly rewriting my story, one that would force me to confront not just the betrayal, but also the choices I was making to heal. Tension became a constant companion as Sarah and I continued our secret meetings. Every stolen moment together was filled with a mix of joy and anxiety. While our connection deepened, the risk of being discovered grew heavier with every passing day. I found myself constantly checking my phone, my eyes scanning every message, wondering if it would reveal our secret to the world. The fear of exposure lingered like a shadow over our budding relationship. One chilly evening, as autumn leaves swirled outside, Sarah and I met at a quiet park bench. The normally comforting rustle of leaves now sounded like whispers of warning. Sarah's eyes were downcast, and she kept glancing over her shoulder. "I feel like someone's watching us," she confessed softly. My heart skipped a beat. Had the thread in that earlier text message been more than just a random warning? I tried to reassure her, but the worry in her voice mirrored my own doubts. We decided to call it a night early and hurried away from the park. On my drive home, I replayed the events in my mind. The secret was growing too dangerous to manage. I wondered if Lisa, my ex-girlfriend, had somehow caught wind of our meetings. The thought made my stomach churn with both regret and a twisted sense of satisfaction. It was as if the universe was forcing us to face the consequences of our choices. I knew that I was walking a fine line between healing and causing more pain. The following day, an unexpected visitor came to my workplace. A coworker named Jake, who was known for his blunt honesty, approached me with a troubled look. "I saw you with Sarah last night near the park," he said. His voice was low, and he kept glancing around as if afraid of being overheard. My heart raced as I realized that our secret was slipping away into public gossip. I tried to brush off his comment, insisting that it was nothing more than a misunderstanding, but Jake's concerned expression told me that the truth was already spreading. Meanwhile, Sarah's phone began buzzing with messages. Some were from mutual friends, and others were cryptic texts from unknown numbers. One message read, "This isn't over." The weight of these messages grew unbearable, and it seemed that every day brought a new piece of evidence to expose our risky liaison. I realized that we had entered a web of secrets that was starting to unravel, and soon, Both our worlds would collide with the painful reality of our choices. At home that evening, I sat alone with my thoughts, grappling with a mix of anger, regret, and confusion. Part of me wanted to pull away from the situation entirely, to retreat into solitude and mend my broken heart on my own. But the other part, fueled by a desire for revenge and the need to prove that I was strong enough to move on, urged me to continue. I was determined not to let Lisa's betrayal define me, even if it meant risking everything in the process. As the days wore on, the tension escalated further. Lisa began to act strangely, her behavior full of subtle hints that she suspected something was off. I noticed her glancing at her phone more frequently, and overheard hushed conversations between her and a coworker about unexpected changes. The sound of her voice, laced with suspicion, cut deep. It was as if every passing moment was a ticking clock counting down to an inevitable confrontation. I decided to confront Sarah about the rising tension. "Are you still comfortable with all of this?" I asked one evening as we met in a quiet corner of our favorite coffee shop. Her eyes were filled with worry and sadness. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I never wanted to hurt anyone, but I also can't ignore what I feel." Her words hit me hard. I realized that both of us were caught in a dangerous spiral, where revenge and healing intertwined in a way that could hurt not only our hearts but also those around us. That conversation marked a turning point. The web of secrets had become too tangled, and I knew that the moment of reckoning was fast approaching. I had to face the consequences of my actions, no matter how painful it might be. The days ahead promised a collision of emotions and revelations that would force me to choose between further revenge or seeking a way to truly heal. The mounting tension reached a fever pitch one rainy evening when everything finally came crashing down. I had spent countless sleepless nights wrestling with guilt and determination, caught between the desire for revenge and the longing for genuine healing. Yet, the time for secrets was over. The web of lies and half-truths was unraveling too quickly to ignore, and I knew that a final reckoning was inevitable. That evening, I received a phone call from Sarah. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "We need to meet now," I agreed, feeling a knot tighten in my stomach as I wondered if our secret relationship had reached its breaking point. We chose a quiet, dimly lit restaurant away from our usual haunts, a neutral ground where we could confront the storm without prying eyes. As I walked into the restaurant, the tension was palpable. Sarah was already seated at a corner table, her eyes red from tears. The sight of her hurt filled me with a deep sense of regret and sorrow. It wasn't just the betrayal by Lisa that haunted me anymore. It was the realization that our actions had hurt someone who had only ever shown kindness and understanding. "Why does it feel like everything is falling apart?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated, knowing that the answer was more complicated than a simple explanation. "I don't know if I can keep living this lie," I admitted, feeling the weight of every secret meeting and every message that threatened to expose us. This was supposed to be about healing, but now, it feels like revenge is poisoning everything. At that moment, the restaurant's door swung open, and in walked Lisa. Her eyes scanned the room, and in a cruel twist of fate, they locked onto Sarah. The shock on both our faces was mirrored by the sudden silence that fell over the room. Lisa's face, usually so confident, was twisted in a mix of anger, disbelief, and hurt. In that split second, every hidden conversation, every furtive glance, and every secret text message came rushing back like a tidal wave of regret. Lisa approached our table with cautious steps. "I need to talk to both of you," she said, her voice steady but laced with pain. The restaurant fell into an uneasy hush as the three of us faced each other. It was clear that nothing could be undone now. The conversation that followed was raw and unfiltered. Lisa's voice broke as she recounted her side of the story. She admitted that her feelings had been conflicted and that the affair was born out of loneliness and a desperate need for attention. "I never meant to hurt you," she said, addressing me, "but I made choices that I can't take back." Her words stung, each one a reminder of the fragile trust we had all once shared. Sarah listened quietly, tears streaming down her face as she tried to comprehend the situation. I felt a deep sense of responsibility for the chaos that had enveloped all of us. I explained that my intentions were never purely about revenge, but that the shock of Lisa's betrayal had pushed me into a situation I never imagined. I wanted to find solace, I admitted, not to cause more pain. But somewhere along the way, my heart became entangled in this web of secrets. Lisa's eyes filled with anger and sorrow as she spoke. "You think this will make things right? Cheating on me, dating my sister, it's a betrayal on all fronts." The blunt honesty in her voice was like a final nail in the coffin of our past lives. It was then that I realized that our actions had created a cycle of betrayal that affected not only our hearts but our entire circle of relationships. In that moment, I decided that it was time to end the charade. I suggested that we take some time apart, to reflect on our mistakes and to start the long process of healing, individually and, perhaps, someday, together. There were no promises of reconciliation that night, only an acknowledgement that we had all been hurt deeply and that the path forward would be paved with honest conversations and painful self-reflection. As the rain continued to fall outside, we each left the restaurant with heavy hearts. I understood that the damage could not be undone with a single conversation. However, in accepting the painful truth and dismantling our secret, I hoped that we could each begin the journey toward genuine recovery. The betrayal, the revenge, and the heartbreak had forever changed our lives, but maybe, with time and honesty, we could learn to heal from the wounds of our past.